Hare Krishna. Today we are discussing on the very important subject or a very important question: why do bad things happen to good people? Everyone wants happiness. Nobody wants suffering. Still we see sufferings come uninvited in our way. Whereas our all endeavor, our efforts are aimed to get some happiness. Then why do we suffer? You may have you may be on a very good evening going along with your family, and you have all good intentions to have a good dinner, but all of a sudden you see that the vehicle bumps into some another vehicle, and the whole evening is spoiled. So is only good endeavor, good efforts and good intentions enough to drive happiness? But then why do we meet with sufferings? So there is a very fundamental phenomena that we can see in our lives. It is very scientific. We see that the creation in which we are staying is designed. It is organized. Creation is not something unorganized. I generally give this example that if you take a lemon seed and plant it into the ground, what are you going to expect after a few months? Lemons from that fully grown lemon tree. Likewise, a similar looking seed of an orange tree, if it is planted into the soil, what are we going to expect? Oranges. Lemon seeds will give us lemons. Orange seeds give us oranges, although they both look like the same. Similarly, we see that any other part of creation, any other flower, any other fruit, anything that you see in creation has a definite organization. It has a design. We don't get oranges from lemon seeds, and we don't get lemons from orange seeds. That is the beauty of creation. Everything is so beautifully designed. Everything is programmed. Now, of course, scientists may try to explain why it is so, but our basic premise is, who made it so? There is a designer, and the designer has programmed it to the material creation such that it keeps on producing things in a very, very orderly fashion. So everything comes from a particular organized design. Likewise, the things that happen in our lives, the sufferings and the happinesses that we meet in our lives are also a design, and it is an organization. So who is the designer for this design? So it is said that the man is the maker of his own destiny. Every living entity, every human being actually gets the results of his own actions. It is said, a famous Bible saying says, as you sow, so shall you reap. So the kind of inputs that we have put in will produce those kind of outputs. Now in the material world in which we are living, sometimes that may not happen. We may study less, yet score good marks. But the Lord's law system is not something that can be bluffed. It is very subtle, and it acts without our notice. There is no place for us, there is no scope for us to be able to cheat it. So the Lord has his definite system, and every action, every thought, every feeling is recorded, is known to the Supreme Lord, and that causes some kind of reaction, whether subtle or gross. So this is called in precise the law of karma, which is one of the gem-like teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. Two children who are born in a hospital on the same day, same time, just adjacent beds, have different destinies. One is black, the other is white. One is having a beautiful face cut, whereas the other one is ugly. One will be endowed with all good riches, whereas the other will suffer in abject poverty. What is the reason? There are only two options possible to give an answer to this question. One is that it's all by chance. We do not know what is the reason, and it happens by chance. By chance, by luck, by fortune, he is white, he is rich, he has a good fortune, and by chance, by luck, the other person has all the negatives. Now, in a world where there is so beautiful design, there is logic, there is science behind everything, is it very scientific to believe that there is no science behind this? In fact, this is very unscientific. So the second option that remains is there is a design, there is a reason, there is a logic, there is some kind of programming. Of course, because we may not be able to see that, we may not be able to understand it, so we may not be able to believe in it, but it still acts whether we believe in it or not. And this is transmigratory. It transfers from one body to another. And that is the reason why two children born on the same day at same time have different starting points. This person starts from another point with another set of features and mentality, whereas this one starts from another. That means the effects, the reactions are carried over, and they affect and they actually mold our next life. So the law of karma is essentially something that spans over different lifetimes. There are reactions of our actions which can be reaped immediately. There are some reactions of our actions which will be reaped over some period of time, but within this lifetime. And there are certain reactions of our own actions which will be reaped over lifetimes. So, for example, if I put my hand into fire, the reaction is not going to occur after a few years. It's immediate. Once you put your hand into the fire, the hand starts burning. So this is an example of immediate reaction. There are some actions which have latent reactions, which happen after some hours, days, weeks, months, or maybe some years. For example, a child studies for his exams, gives the paper, and he gets his result after few months. So this is an example of latent reaction. A person intoxicates, a person, he undertakes intoxication, and the results may only come after several years, but within this lifetime. And likewise, there are certain actions for which the reactions have to be only given in the next lifetime. So like that, the law of karma is actually something which is designed by the Supreme Lord, and therefore, because it cannot be changed, it is called as a law, and a law indicates a lawmaker. So we are essentially suffering for some of the reactions that have been the result of some of our actions of previous lifetimes. What do we do now? Is there a way to overcome it? Yes, definitely. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we understand this process of overcoming it. One of the essential things that we should do is we should change our actions so that it will also further change our reactions. So a person, when he elevates himself into a life of goodness, then he can change his thoughts, he can change his actions, and thereby change his reactions, and much more. Bhagavad Gita has a whole ocean of wisdom. So if we study it in great detail under a proper bona fide guidance, we can be benefited by it many times. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.